a round of applause. Sijui Tanzania tutasema makofi ya kilo ama makofi ya aina gani. Asante. Let me also not ignore the good work that has been done by our host, the Internet Society Tanzania chapter, led by Naza. I know he was the MC here, kitukaribisha, but now he's seated at the high table. And with your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I would wish to invite him in his capacity as our local host to then introduce the other chief guests who are with us, representatives from, or rather the Deputy Secretary General of the East African Community, which is hosting us, and the Regional Commissioner as well, who also is hosting us within his territory. I know, Naza, you are best placed to invite our chief guests to then make their opening remarks. So without further ado, I would like to give you the floor, Naza, as our chief host, to then invite the guests as I have mentioned.
Thank you, Barack. And I was wondering, I'm wondering still, with all this work, you are giving me a floor, man. Just a floor? Thank you, Barack, for your for officiating that part of the conversation, because we call this a conversation. And Internet Governance Forum or Internet Society Tanzania chapter is part of the global organization that basically hosts a number of events to be able to engage people in the internet governance space. So sometimes it is very difficult to differentiate, but we do it together. Next in the line we have a representative from ICANN. If he is online, we would like to welcome him to give us the goodies from Africa. Welcome, Mr. Pierre Danju, difficult, Vice President, Global Stakeholder Engagement, Africa, ICANN. Can the moderator from the Zoom please
especially from Pierre Dandino, who is the Vice President for Stakeholder Engagement for Africa at ICANN. It is a pleasure for us to be part of this event, and we want to congratulate all the regional organizations, especially the East African Commission, the ISOC chapter, all the partners really involved in the organization of this event. We are committed to support the Internet Governance Forum initiatives in Africa as you know, we have also at ICANN a regional plan. And one of the objectives is the governance. And through this objective, we are committed to support this type of initiative. So again, we want to thank you for organizing this. It's a real opportunity for all the participants to discuss, to openly talk, and think about how better everybody can ask for a better internet. We'll have the opportunity as I can to contribute to a panel with a specific topic important this time, which is what we call the universal acceptance of domain names. So again, I want to be brief because of the delay we had in starting, but I want to thank you because it's a good improvement. In the past, in many regional events in Africa, we have 1 hour delay, but I want to congratulate you. So again, the key message is we are supporting you, and we hope that after this discussion, we'll come out with good resolutions that will help improve the governance of internet in the region and in Africa globally. So thank you so much.
A round of applause for Yaovi. Next in line, we have Margaret from African Union. And we know Margaret has been very instrumental in the PRIDA. And we would like to welcome Margaret to give her remarks. Karibu, Margaret.
Thank you very much, the moderator. I am going to switch off my camera because of connectivity issues, and then I can continue. I just wanted you to see me. So our distinguished guest, the Honorable Ambassador of Uganda to Tanzania, our members of Parliament, distinguished guest, all protocols observed, is quite an honor for the African Union to be still present in this 9th IGF. We note some of the people we have met before. Nazal, great work you are doing. Lillian, Barak, and all of you. Yobi, great to see you. My colleague Adil, who was supposed to be welcoming you, was not able to make it. The beauty of digital space, that you just pass over to someone else the last minute and you step in. I think these are good times we are living in, where we can support each other and really ensure that the digital space is flourishing as it should be. So I'll briefly just say about what we have done in terms of the Africa IGF that most of us participated in July. And that particular IGF, we held it between 19th and 21st. And it was presided by the Parliamentarian Symposium. Quite good to see that the parliamentarians have remained engaged and they're very active in this. So we had a 2-day symposium. Again, it was also preceded by the Africa School of Intergovernance, where again, it was very targeted. We looked at the UN open-ended work that is ongoing. And we interrogated our participation as a continent. What are we doing? How are we doing it? And what are the gaps? How do we ensure that our voice is heard at that particular level? And I know the document we came up with was presented in the meeting that followed in New York. And again, we have continued to engage, and we'll be having a forum on the 26th in Addis. For those of us who will be there, it will be good to participate in that. Again, I know we had a youth IGF that was held for 2 days, 18th and 20th, which again was very good, and thanks to GIZ. I know GIZ is represented because GIZ funded all those youths that were able to be in that particular meeting, and funding again for those who will be in Addis Ababa later in the month. So again, we appreciate. So going forward, what are we doing? That as the African Union Commission through PRIDA, which has been at the forefront to ensure that we are training our young people, our old people, we do not discriminate. We always ensure that we get at least 50% of our participants to be young. And again, I note that in this particular IGF, we have quite a number of young people who are in college. That is a very good step. Ensure that you spread the knowledge, ensure that you get other people to join these internet governance issues, processes, cause issues that are discussed here, they affect us in different ways. So that is quite encouraging. So far through PRIDA from 2020, we have had 29 sessions training that takes 4 days. And again, not just at the national level, we have done them at the regional level. And again, proud to say that the West Africa School of Internet Governance has used the PRIDA platform for the 3rd time this year. Again, we have Central Africa that will be using it later in the year. I know we were late in planning for this, but hopefully next year, and with all these young people that are very keen to learn, we can use the PRIDA platform for the regional school of IG. Again, as part of preparation for the global IGF, PRIDA, in collaboration with UNECA, we trained 80 young people that will be giving various support at the global IGF. May they be rapporteuring, may they be conferencing facilities, may they be technical support. So again, that is part of our support to ensure that we have as many young people who are actively involved, who are actively engaged in these particular issues. And I think looking at the program, there are quite a number of sessions that are organized by the Africans for the Africans. So let us engage. And on behalf of the African Union, again, I welcome all of you and thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be part of this particular forum. Thank you very much, and back to you, Nazar.
Thank you, Margaret, for all you do for the African Union and for us. I know you have put a lot of effort to ensure that the messaging and the important key information is spread across, Africa, and we are very thankful for that. Next, we are going to have Madam Anya Gengo, and Madam Anya has been very instrumental in terms of knitting the NRIs together. NRIs meaning national, regional, and national regional initiatives. For example, if you are talking about Tanzania Internet Governance Forum, it is a national initiative. If you are talking about East African Internet Governance Forum, it is a regional initiative. She has been very instrumental in Geneva to keep us together, and we have been this year, as it has been for the previous years, organizing the collaborative sessions for the global IGF. And this year, as you know, the global IGF is being hosted in Ethiopia, and it is our African IGF, if I may call it. So without a further ado, I would like to welcome Anya from United Nations-led Internet Governance Forum. Anya.
Thank you very much, Nazar, and good morning from Geneva to everyone. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to join you today for the East African Internet Governance Forum. This is an important milestone for the region, and my sincere congratulations on this achievement goes to the multi-stakeholder organizing committee members, to the Secretariat, and this year's host. May many more excellent meetings come. Your region is at the world spotlight because of several national IGFs hosted in the past couple of months, including, for example, the Uganda IGF, hosted just 2 days ago, because of the African IGF that was hosted in July, which sent many important messages to the world, because of today, of your IGF, and because of what's coming to your home in around 2 weeks from now, the 17th annual IGF, just as Nazar mentioned. The world needs multi-stakeholder internet governance processes like your region has, and that is the requirement that is the sole nature of the internet, its use and governance dictates. I'm sure that you will agree with me that digital today is much more than just mere notion of computers, cables, and signals. It is about the way we live our lives. And I'm sure you would agree we depend on our devices to do so much of our daily activities, such as, for example, to obtain information, to learn, buy, connect with others, and similar. Unfortunately, not everyone everywhere are in a position to connect, just as we are fortunate today. Digital divide is our reality, and as such, it's an alarm for all of us to act, especially to all private and public sector entities worldwide, to address the digital divide, proactive action, and close it once and for all. In brainstorming our best actions, we must not forget the most vulnerable ones: women and girls, people with disabilities, people living in remote and rural areas, migrants and refugees, and others. These areas are different from country to country, which makes it critical to connect through a multi-stakeholder, open and inclusive environment on local levels and come up with a good plan. The East African IGF stands as a good practice of this. I want to thank you for prioritizing the issues of access, inclusion and safety online, as those are among the burning topics not just for your region, but globally, and probably the major obstacle to the internet that we all want to have accessible to everyone. Dear colleagues, I invite you to speak ambitiously today. This year is a special opportunity for your region. Just as said, the world is coming to you in just around 2 weeks to discuss global internet governance. Definitely, your outputs will be inputs to the global community during their multi-stakeholder dialogues at the 17th annual IGF meeting hosted by the government of Ethiopia in Addis Ababa from 28th of November until 2nd of December 2022. Under the overarching theme, Resilient Internet for Shared, Sustainable and Common Future, the program will gather several thousand stakeholders to discuss the most pertinent digital public policy issues through over 300 different sessions. Choices are many, from areas of access and human rights to internet fragmentation and emerging tech. Plenty of opportunities for everyone to contribute and learn from. Engagement of decision makers and decision shapers is very important if we want our discussions to be implemented. The IGF invests particular efforts in engagement of decision makers, such as legislators, and in Addis Ababa we will have many members of parliament joining us from around the world to discuss matters related to safety online. But we must also think on tomorrow, on sustainability of our processes. And youth is a key there as the upcoming generation of experts and leaders. Throughout the year, the IGF has been engaging with youth from around the world on topics of digital transformation. I'm proud to say many young people from your region were active in the IGF 2022 youth track. And as a pre-event to the 17th IGF on 28th of November in Addis Ababa, we will host IGF 2022 Global Youth Summit, to which I warmly invite you. Of course, the high-level leaders track will engage in dialogues many leaders from different stakeholder groups on various topics, and you are also invited to join those dialogues. We hope that many of you will be able to join us in person in Addis. If not, the meeting is hosted in a hybrid format, and there is opportunity to connect online and participate as equals. Let us work together for a good change to make the heart of your region for better, safe, accessible, affordable, resilient, and sustainable internet for all. I want to thank you once again for inviting the IGF Secretariat to join you and have a successful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anya, for your remarks. And please, a round of applause for Anya. And also, we forgot to give a round of applause to Margaret. I think she is still online. And I think, I think this one we are going to do it properly. If you can follow me, we are going to do the Pasha. Pasha, Manyunyu, 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 Mbua, 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 Toma, Radi, Radi. I think because we forgot, and then we have to appreciate her for the presentation. Now, I think I'm going to do it properly in the spirit of the East African community. Of the East African community is on the background. So before I do that, I would like to demonstrate a very little thing to the guest of honor on behalf of all of us. First of all, I'm going to take my coat off, throw it there. And then I'm going to do like this. And then the second one is before I take this on, yeah, and then I'm going to come back to the microphone. What I have just demonstrated, ladies and gentlemen, are three things. Number one is the technology, the robotics, artificial intelligence, internet governance, and the like. And the second one, yeah, you can give me a round of applause if you don't mind. And the second one are those people in the remote areas who are still using a hoe to go about their daily life and get their daily food using a hoe. They don't know anything about 5G or 6G or 0G. So we have those two worlds. And the first one, which I threw my coat, my jacket on the floor, represent disruption. Disruption by young people, disruption by innovators. So I think these three actions, Your Excellency, represent what we do in the ICT sector. So with that, I would like to welcome Engineer Mlote from EAC to give his welcoming remarks. And finally, welcome the Regional Commissioner who, somehow, somewhere, is my boss, and that's why you see I'm very nervous. Thank you.
Good morning. Honorable John Mongela, the Arusha Regional Commissioner, honorable members of Parliament from the Republic of Uganda and the United Republic of Tanzania, I think in a very special way, I would like to recognize each of you. Let me start, because you are the policy makers of our region. Let me start with recognizing Honorable Dr. Faustin Ndugulile. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa. Honorable Ndugulile is a member of Parliament from United Republic of Tanzania, and at several times he was a minister in different ministries. It's a pleasure to have you here in Arusha. Karibu sana. Honorable Magogo Moses Hashim, Member of Parliament and the Chairperson, Information Communication Technology and National Guidance Committee, Parliament of Uganda. Is he around? Not around. Honorable Kinobere Hebet, Member of Parliament from Uganda, not yet here. Honorable Nobeta Nathan Igeme, karibu sana, you are welcome to Arusha. Honorable Bagala Joyce, you are very much welcome. Honorable Tumwine Anna Mari, Member of Parliament from Uganda, you are very much welcome. Honorable Kiza Kenneth Nyendroha, karibu sana. Honorable Chemutai Phyllis, karibu sana. Those are the members of Parliament, but we have Ambassador Anne Katusime. Is she around? Karibu sana Mheshimiwa Balozi. She's representing the Republic of Uganda here at the EAC. Karibu sana. So let me recognize others who are online. Mr. Pierre Daju, Vice President, Global Stakeholders Engagement. Madam Anya, Mr. Adil Suleiman, Dr. Ali Simba, Executive Secretary, East African Communication Organizations, heads of private sector here present, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. Bonjour. Habari za asubuhi. East Africa has 3 languages, Kiswahili, English, and French. So we are free to use any of the 3 languages. Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by welcoming you all to the city of Arusha. I know the regional commissioner will welcome you officially, but specifically to the headquarters of the East African community. We are glad to have you here today for the 9th East African Internet Governance Forum. For those of us who were born in the early 20th century, we know where we have come from. I was traveling from home, first of all walking like 10, 20 kilometers, and then get a car to a certain town where I will board a bus to school, which is several hundreds or thousands kilometers away from home. And then there will be no communication for 6 months with my parents. You see? They will see me or they will know about me when I come back after 6 months. So you know where we have come from. Now, today, for those who were born in the 21st century, they can communicate with their parents 2 or 3 times in a day, wherever they are in the world. So we know how internet has taken us from where we came from. So, ladies and gentlemen, the East African Internet Governance Forum is part of the Global Internet Governance Forum, and it presents an opportunity for our region to participate meaningfully and influence the global internet policy development agenda. This forum is therefore an opportunity for us to create community of practice that will build sustaining foundation for meaningful participation of East African stakeholders in the internet public policy debates at the national, regional, and international levels. I understand that during this forum, several topics are on the table for discussion. These include access and inclusion in East Africa, the role of policymakers in advancing internet development in East Africa, cybersecurity policy needs for our region, building an inclusive digital economy in East Africa, and addressing digital threats to the democracy in East Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, these topics are realizing not only the digital economy of East Africa, but also the future of our region. As you discuss these issues, I would like to take this opportunity to inform you on what the East African community has and is continuing to do on the information and communication technology front. We have continued to work with the partner states to promote the establishment of communication infrastructure and services, as well as standardization of technologies and services in the region. The EAC has worked closely with the partner states in the development of national ICT policies, and efforts are ongoing towards the harmonization of ICT policies, laws, and regulations among the EAC partner states. The region has also continued to promote ICT as a priority investment sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the EAC Vision 2050 focuses on initiatives that will transform the East African community into an upper middle income region within a secure and a politically united East African based on the principles of inclusiveness and accountability by the year 2050. The vision has set a target of attaining 95% penetration of internet and mobile networks in the region, and 67% of individuals in East Africa using the internet by the year 2050. I believe with this forum today, we have inched one step closer to realizing this vision. To reach these targets, the EAC has set out to build and implement ICT development programs that are consistent with the national, regional, and international aspirations and commitments. The programs will seek to attain universal access to communication infrastructure and services, ensure availability of rich and diverse ICT content and applications, and build competence, confidence, and security in the information society. With such aspirations, we shall therefore work towards reducing the cost and increasing the robustness of cross-border communications, narrowing the divide digital, and expanding digital connectivity across the region. Ladies and gentlemen, during this forum, we should therefore critically look into the internet governance issues relevant to our region and put in place a coordinated process to address issues concerning the information society and knowledge management in our region.
Recording in progress.
We should devise strategies to enhance awareness and build capacity of internet governance among policymakers and stakeholders in the region. And I'm very happy our policymakers, the members of parliament, are here today. As a region, we should also direct efforts towards promoting the use of local content and knowledge in the cyberspace. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I urge that it is time we build consensus as partner states and establish a regional position around the internet governance issues. I thank you all for your kind attention and wish you the 9th East African Governance Forum fruitful deliberations. Before I leave the podium, I've been given the honor to welcome the guest of honor, Honorable John Mongela, the Regional Commissioner of Arusha Region. Karibu Mheshimiwa.
Habari za asubuhi. Honorable Engineer Stephen Imlote, the Deputy Secretary General for the East African Community, Madam Lillian, Bwana Nazar, Honorable Members of Parliament, Honorable Ambassador, Madam, Heads of ICT institutions in the region, our partners, ICANN, UN, IGF, Internet Society, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on behalf of Honorable Nape Moses Mnaye, Minister of Information, Communication and Information Technology, who was supposed to be here, and due to other commitments, he couldn't make it, and he asked me to read his speech on his behalf. I take this opportunity to thank the EAC partner states for convening this important forum, aiming at shaping the policy direction on how the internet is governed. I'm greatly honored to be among the internet governance and ICT practitioners from the East African region. I'm informed that we have delegates representing all the 7 EAC partner states. This reflects the spirit of multi-stakeholders participation, which is the fundamental principle on the internet governance. Digital technology is shaping history, but there is also the sense that it is turning away from us. Where we are less equal, will we become more or less secured and safe? The answers to these questions depend on our ability to work together across disciplines and actors, across nations and political divides, and shape our policies. We have a collective responsibility to give direction to these technologies so that we can maximize benefits and curtail unintended consequences and malicious use of internet resources. Ladies and gentlemen, as a region, there is need to invest in technical expertise among policymakers if we are to effectively shape the internet policy and governance agenda. Innovation is outpacing policy setting. As the industry has been forging ahead and at times breaking things, policymakers have been watching from the sidelines. Now, in a growing number of countries and at our regional level, the governance gap is being addressed. In our region, affordable access to the internet remains a challenge as a gender gap in connectivity continues to widen. Women are also drastically underrepresented in information and communication technology jobs, top management and academic careers in technological sectors. We must do better, especially for the young girls in our region. The digital divide is also elevated by the unequal distribution of know-how and expertise, as well as aggravate the social divide. My belief is that the internet can be a powerful force for good, but we are also seeing that it's a tool that can easily be put to disreputable use. Ladies and gentlemen, this forum therefore allows key stakeholders to activate, engage, and devise ways and means in which we can all shape the internet governance agenda. ICT technologies and applications such as e-government, e-commerce, e-education, e-health, e-environment are seen as enablers for development. They provide an efficient channel to deliver a wide range of basic services in remote and rural areas. ICT applications can facilitate the achievement of Millennium Development Targets, reducing poverty and improving health and environmental conditions in developing countries. It is thus with the right approach, situation, and a well thought out implementation plan, investments in ICT applications and tools can result in productivity and quality improvements. In order for ICT to be meaningful in the daily lives and work of our people and organizations, there must be locally relevant content, applications, and services available which can be accessed through. In the context of socio-economic development programs, local relevance means things like educational materials, health information, environmental data, or agricultural extension services are useful to people in the communities served. This could also mean locally relevant applications such as software or computerized systems that present end-user solutions. Government information services provided to citizens are a great example of local content that can be adopted for widespread distribution through the electronic environment as e-government services develop. Locally relevant content can also be informed about basic health care, such as disease outbreaks, which can be effectively broadcasted by using different technologies such as radios, television, and mobile technology, particularly in rural areas of developing countries where in most cases there are limited medical facilities. As individuals use ICTs for different communication purposes, ranging from communicating with families, business colleagues, customers, this can be a significant aspect to further encourage new users of ICT. But regardless of the content, application or service is available in local languages is critical if ICT is to be relevant and useful to the communities and groups targeted by ICT projects or policies. Ladies and gentlemen, the ICT policies highlight the respective nations' ambitions of the use of ICTs as a tool for better livelihoods, peace and security, good governance, education, as well as an economy with competitive advantage in the global market. The potential of ICTs in economic development requires building an enterprise ecosystem that offers end-to-end solutions for the poor. Allow me to propose 3 ways in which the Internet Governance Forum can lead the way. First, let us build this forum into a platform where government representatives in our region, along with the private sector, technical experts, and civil society, come together to share policy expertise, debate emerging technology issues, agree on some basic common principles, and take these ideas back to appropriate norm-setting fora. Second, I encourage us all to use the forum to develop advocacy plan to improve accessibility and affordability of the Internet in the East African region. Lastly, call upon each one of us to continue identifying topics for research and further shared understanding in ICT policy and Internet. With that said, I take this opportunity to declare this 9th East African Internet Governance Forum officially opened. Asanteni sana.
Asante sana, Bwana Regional Commissioner. I think the panel deserves a better round of applause. And I would like to invite the panel to stand up for a group photo. Memories are made of this. I think this meeting is very nostalgic, seeing the representation from government, from the diplomatic community, and from our members of parliament. It shows we've come full circle. So if the esteemed panel could kindly stand up so that we have a group photo. And then I will also request you to stay on for a few minutes so that you can hear the national reports, what has been happening around East Africa. Mr. Regional Commissioner and the Secretary General, as you spoke, what came to mind were recent comments by President Museveni that we should think of this community continuously strengthening it. And your speeches have actually not only highlighted what the East African community is doing, but also the spirit within our governments in ensuring that this community really works and it is powered by ICTs and the internet. So if you could kindly be on your feet, I see the cameras are ready. We take the photo, and then I request you for not more than 10 minutes to stay behind and hear the national reports, and then we shall break for a cumulative group photo for the entire audience.
I think you can do it like, you can put the chairs, and then people can be on the background.
The cameraman thinks that it's okay. Yes, we are done.
We need the members of parliament
To join the photo?
Yes.
All right, please. Honorable members and Your Excellency, if you don't mind. I believe you can just stand behind the panel since we cannot move the background. Thank you very much. Without wasting more time, I'm going to quickly invite the national reports. We'll do this in 10 minutes maximum. Yeah, so distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard, the East African Internet Governance Forum is a product of the national initiatives that are taking place within the East African region. We normally convene this forum after all our countries have organized their national forum, and the reason we convene is to see areas where we can be able to cross-pollinate or areas where we can be able to share ideas. So we do have some national reports, and I request the national representatives to be really brief. You could focus on what were the key highlights in your national meeting as you had your national forum. And I will start with the high table, where we have NASA from Tanzania, who led the effort of the Tanzania Internet Governance Forum. And then we will have Lillian to kindly give us a brief on what happened in Uganda, the Uganda Internet Governance Forum. I will move over to Rwanda. I see Grace there to just give us a brief of what happened with the Rwanda Internet Governance Forum in that order. So if we can start with NASA, if you could just be brief and give us highlights of the Tanzania Internet Governance Forum, what were the key issues and where can we find the report for those who may want to consume it and get further information. Over to you.
Thank you, Barak. And the report that we are going to give today is from the EU side of the Internet Governance Forum. So I would like to welcome Millennium to give us the highlight on the Tanzania Youth Internet Governance Forum. Millennium?
Good morning. My name is Millennium Anthony. I am a coordinator and chairperson of Tanzania Youth IGF. Tanzania Youth IGF is the youth-led component of the Tanzanian Internet Governance Forum. And for the first Tanzania Youth Internet Governance Forum was held last year in November, and we had very few, as you know how challenging it is to start something, but we had very few participants from various university in Dar es Salaam. So it was conducted at Dar es Salaam University Dar es Salaam University, DIT, and we had almost like 23 participants for the first IGF, and we planned to expand, especially to other regions across the country and other universities. Then this year we held another Tanzania Youth Internet Governance Forum, which is the second, and by good luck and hard work, we had almost 50 plus participants for the second Internet Governance Forum of Tanzania Youth. And our main strategies for the Tanzanian Internet Governance Forum, the youth-led component, is to have more youth who have increased and active participation in Tanzania, in the internet society. And we'd like to thank our president, who has been showing very great participation in our programs. He has been there to support us and to help us so that we may achieve our goals. And to the youth, we invite you to join and be a part of the Tanzanian Youth Internet Governance Forum. And maybe after this session, you can come and tell me if you want to be a part of this great community as we plan to extend. So far, we have our members who are only from Dar es Salaam, but in this year and the coming year, we are planning to expand to more than 20 regions in Tanzania. It's a great plan, and we believe that the youth are going to take part and are going to be partakers of this great achievement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and it's good to see the youth taking a front lead. Naza, do we have another speaker, or do we move to Uganda?
Our Tanzania IGF will take place on 23rd of November, and it has been because we are co-hosting the EIGF, and it has been a little difficult to be able to do that. But we are going to do it on the 23rd before the global IGF. Don't worry, you will have the report man. So that's all we can say for that. And the reason why we are engaging young people is to make sure we bridge them into the internet governance space, because constantly young people are the future and the face of the internet as well as internet governance. So that's why we are making all these efforts to ensure that we engage young people in debating, in learning the issues, how to deal with the key policy issues that affect the internet, and the governance of the internet in Tanzania. So I think that key component is very dear to us, because we believe having young people who understand the issues and who can debate the policy issues is very key to a robust, Tanzania Internet Governance Forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Lillian, if you could give us a brief on Uganda.
Thank you, Naza. Thank you, Barack. The Uganda Internet Governance Forum took place just, I think, a day ago, on Tuesday, November 8th. But prior to the forum, we had the Internet Governance, which we had about 17 fellows, And this was done in partnership with the Africa Union through the PRIDA program. And these fellows, the whole purpose of the Uganda School on Internet Governance is to empower and equip different internet users. So we had representation mainly from the youth and civil society and private sector in understanding the different concepts of internet governance and how they can take part. We did have the Uganda Youth IGF, and this was the third. It was hosted in partnership with the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology and National Guidance, with support from Afrinic and the Internet Society Foundation. The Youth IGF took place on October 10th, and I'm happy to see that our Youth IGF coordinator is following online for this Africa IGF, Mr. Innocent Indrico. I'm going to particularly highlight key points that were raised by the youth from Uganda, because the whole purpose of the Youth Forum, as we heard from the representative from Tanzania, is to empower youth, with a platform where they can come and discuss different, issues on internet, how they relate to them. We all know at times the youth have their own language, they have their own jargons, and at times we may not be able to understand that kind of jargon and slang. So providing them a platform where they can confidently talk about their own issues and see how this can feed into the national forum and ultimately into the regional forum. So to summarize that, one of the key actions was the need to step up and build the capacity of the youth to fit into the contemporary world and not to be left behind. And I think we've heard also that from the Youth IGF in Tanzania. The other key action that was stressed was the need to build their capacity to meaningfully use digital spaces and platforms to empower themselves through learning and pushing for change through advocacy and innovation. And I think that is one of the key elements that the commissioner raised. How can we build capacity and empower young people and ourselves to advocate and advocate and also push for innovation. Away from that, I think those are enough. The Uganda Internet Governance Forum, which was just a day ago, focused on a theme, a resilient and united digital inclusion for all Ugandans. It was well attended, remotely and physically, and we had focus on 6 different themes. This included cybersecurity, data governance, digital inclusion, digital economy, artificial intelligence. The Uganda Internet Governance Forum has been also one of those spaces that started alongside the East Africa IGF, and probably as we also hear from the Kenya IGF, we are one of the pioneers of internet governance processes at a national level. So over time, we've achieved quite a number of successes because we provide the platform for different stakeholders, whether it's policymakers, the private sector, civil society, academia, to talk about those pertinent issues in Uganda. We've had different policies that have been discussed at the national level, and the platform has been used to get feedback on those policies. And I'm happy to see Honorable Nabeta, because I think 10 years ago, he was, I don't want to use the word beneficiary, but he was actively involved in the Uganda Internet Governance and also the regional IGF. And we are happy to have you back in the space. And we hope that we'll continue engaging with you and your honorable members to see how we can improve the internet space in Uganda. So in a nutshell, I would say that all our deliberations, we have a website That is the uigf.ug, where all these discussions are accumulated, and you're welcome to check out our report. It has not yet been published because, well, it's been just a day into our 2022 forum, but we welcome you to check out the page and also be able to follow conversations on the past IGFs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lillian. Grace, if you could kindly give us a picture of what happened in Rwanda. And kindly introduce yourself as you do so.
Thank you, Barack. My name's Grace Ingabire. I'm coming from Rwanda. I represent an organization called RICTA. So we have been the Secretariat of the Internet Governance for almost 10 years now. So we are celebrating our 10 years anniversary. So we had our Rwanda IGF last week on 3rd November. So the event was hosted at Marriott Hotel, and we were honored to have the Minister of ICT and Innovation attending the event and some other officials. So I'll just be quick and brief. So during the IGF, there were a few highlights that were raised, many by the youth and some of the attendees. Some of them are capacity building, as my colleague Lillian spoke about. This is something that came back as well from the youth, whereby majority of them, they attend the Internet Governance Forum, but they are not the skills that they have. It's very hard for them to continue to follow the event. So some of the highlight that came is that we need to build capacity building for this youth, especially on emerging technologies. So you know all about robotics, artificial intelligence. Those are the words that the youth don't understand. So what we are aiming to do is to engage other stakeholders, including academia, that is the universities, and see how we can partner and work together, create programs that will sensitize and push the youth to attend the IGF, but as well to understand the emerging technologies. Number two, we are aiming at creating awareness, not only creating the program, the capacity building, but creating awareness countrywide, not only at the youth level, but we believe what is happening, the community needs to be informed. The Rwandans need to be informed about what is happening in the ICT industry. So the second thing is that we are aiming at expanding the role of the Secretariat. So IGF has been run on one day, a half-day event. So we are expecting that probably next year we can start doing a 2-day event. Day one, focusing on youth. The digital skills that I spoke about, we do it on day one for the youth and other newcomers. And then day two will be dedicated to the annual, actually the event itself. So the rest is that the IGF is made of a committee of people that are coming from different stakeholders group, ranging from academia, government, private sector, and civil society. They were like, we need to broaden the scope of the IGF Secretariat and see how we can broaden the objective so that we can fast track the implementation of IGF resolution and outcomes. What does this mean? After the event, we normally have reports available on their website. But what happened next year when we come back to the event? What have been done? So that's why we are aiming at having a secretariat with a broader scope of what we were used to do. And again, the team will be able to coordinate as well and do some of the research and development on internet governance-related matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that summary, Grace. Next, we'll have Nelson Kwaje from South Sudan. And as we do that, Amel, do we have you from Burundi? Please prepare to be next. Thank you very much. And kindly be brief so that we catch up on lost ground.
You're saying that because I'm carrying a laptop? Okay, hi everyone. My name is Nelson Kwaje, as Barak had stated. I work for an organization called DeFi Head now in South Sudan. And I'm here with my colleague Dennis from the South Sudan Internet Governance Forum. So, just 1 second, let me get my... So, this is the second Internet Governance Forum to be held in South Sudan. Unfortunately, we joined the league a bit late. So the first Internet Governance Forum, the inaugural Internet Governance Forum, was in 2019. And the subsequent one didn't happen because of COVID-19 and the rest. So we managed to hold the Internet Governance Forum on the 23rd of September 2022. Oof, man, I'm so stressed. Is it because of the East African Community Chamber or what? Yeah, so we managed to hold the Internet Governance Forum on the 23rd of September at the Palm Africa Hotel in Juba. Basically, it's the theme was towards a holistic approach to Internet Governance Forum, and the sub-themes were consumer right, competition, and universal access. Just for context, South Sudan faces a lot of challenges, unlike its neighbors, in terms of infrastructure. So the Internet Governance Forum tends to take a bigger chunk of responsibility than it usually happens in other countries. So in South Sudan, we find that we advocate for infrastructure, we work on issues of consumer right, we also work with the regulator on so many issues. For this year, some of the key highlighted issues were the issue of infrastructure. South Sudan only has one fiber optic line, which is like about 100 kilometers from the border, coming through Uganda. And that provides a very big challenge because the cost of internet is so high. So some of the discussions involve how to provide redundancy and also how to have means of getting other supporting lines through Djibouti and also through Djibouti, Ethiopia, through Sudan, and also through Kenya. And some of these discussions are in a very advanced stages. So the forum focused on how to think of very innovative ways. The regulators were talking about waiving some of the licensing requirements for the fiber optic lines. And the second issue was on consumer right. In South Sudan, we have had a huge issues of inflation. And in a country that exports a lot of goods from outside, that kind of like pushed the price of connectivity very high. So consumers had a lot of complaints, and the discussion was like, how do you provide avenues so that the consumers are not being ripped off by the telcos, and together with the regulator. And the final issue was this issue of universal access. And understandably also South Sudan has a lot of issues, especially when it comes to literacy and also like access to technology. So part of the discussion in the forum with the stakeholders was like, how do you increase access in a country where like a lot of the population lives in rural areas, and then you have a huge chunk of the population also due to the conflict are living in the neighboring countries. So together with the peace agreement and the other efforts that are being made, the main point of the discussion is that like, how do you leverage technology to both increase access in these areas and also to improve human development? And I think that that was the conclusion of the forum. So such a delight being here.
Thank you, and well done, South Sudan. Next, we move to Burundi. Amel, if you could kindly give us a brief. You'll speak in French? Or English? Or whichever. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Excellencies, different guests, each one in his order, good morning. My name is Gihimba Lambert King. I'm IT advisor of the Ministry of National Education and Scientific Research of Burundi. I'm also IGF Youth Ambassador Mentors, and I'm also a researcher. Allow me to present you the IGF Burundi chapter report. By the way, we have been not able to attend or to hold up the IGF Burundi 2022. But the previous IGF session were 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, and the East African IGF 2013. We have some recent updates in regard to the ICT sector in Burundi. By regarding the internet, we already have, first of all, the Burundi ICT sector strategy, which have been adopted in February 2021. Secondly, we have a national policy for the promotion of ICT and the acceleration of their integration into the Burundian education system in June 2020. At the third time, we have Burundi have adopted the law against cybersecurity in this year. We have also a new project about digital economy support project. And the end, we have a law draft governing electronic and translation in the transaction in Burundi, which has begun in October 2022. It is already under the study in National Assembly. Thank you for your best regards.
Thank you very much. And there are two more. We have DRC. Is Patience in the room already? All right. So I think we will get the DRC report later on. DRC is our latest brother, or should I say sister, in the East African Community Bloc, and they've also had the IGF, and they'll talk about it. So I'll also be very brief in presenting the report of the Kenya Internet Governance Forum. So the Kenya Internet Governance Forum is hosted by the Kenya ICT Action Network. This year we had our 15th edition, and now we have an IGF week, almost similar to Uganda, and the direction that Rwanda is going. And the IGF week starts with the National School of Internet Governance, which is in its 7th edition. And I invite you to visit kiktanet.or.ke for a detailed event report of what took place. But just to give you a snapshot of the School of Internet Governance, our focus has been on bringing new voices into the internet governance conversation. And the focus has largely been championed from the youth level. Distinguished guests, youth have said that they are no longer interested in being part of the program, but they are interested in being part of the process. So just like in the other countries, we have a national youth IGF process led by the youth and for the youth, which took place immediately after the School of Internet Governance. For the School of Internet Governance, we had about 118 students graduating this year alone. Again, the report is available on the website, and most of these are drawn from government, civil society, private sector, and academia, and they're the new champions or the new voices in the internet governance conversation. In terms of the substance that the meeting focused on, we had a focus on governing data and protecting privacy of data. Just like the other countries in the East African region, data protection has been and continues to be a key issue in Kenya. has featured prominently in both our houses in Parliament, and so we had a detailed session focusing on this. We also had a session on information and communications technologies and elections. You all know when it comes to our elections and the internet and ICTs, it's becoming a thorny issue. And of course, just like the other countries in the region, we had our election, and we managed to pull through without an internet shutdown. I think that deserves a clap. The other area we focused on was connecting all people and promoting cyber hygiene. I think COVID-19 has shown us that the internet is for everyone, and it's critical that we get it to all regions of our countries in East Africa. And we do have the community networks movement across the East African region. I believe that it will be a subject of discussion here, and we are looking at how to connect those in unserved and underserved areas, those areas that telcos do not think can bring a return on investment, yet there are people who are still living in those places. So this is what this panel focused on. And last but not least, we had a panel on emerging issues, focusing on the youth, focusing on online work, focusing on inclusion. We have differently abled brothers and sisters, and we have to keep asking ourselves, how are they also taking advantage of the internet? And of course, the issue of regulation. So those were the key issues that were discussed at the Kenya Internet Governance Forum. I believe we'll discuss in more detail as we move into the respective panel sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, I would like to bring this session to a close and invite us for a cup of tea. Please, in the interest of time, I request that we take exactly 10 minutes and we'll be back in the room to proceed with the next session. The next session is focusing on policy. We have honorable members here, and you know, at the end of the day, it's policy that drives our nation, policy that drives our region. So we want to look at what has been happening in the policy space across the East African region, and as we move towards a unified area, what are some of the considerations that our policymakers need to take upwards to our executive and of course to the EAC, so that indeed we can be able to take advantage of the benefits of the East African community. I know the EAC has really done immense work insofar as ensuring that we benefit from ICT in our borders is concerned. We almost have a seamless border system. But for this and more. Yes, sir. All right, that's in order. So with that and many more, let's be back after 10 minutes, and then we can continue with the sessions. Once again, join me in appreciating our esteemed panel as they leave the stage. Kindly use the back door. Tea is served in the tents that are outside on the right side.
Iko poa. Mpaka.